Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. It is a sad day here in Wisconsin. What is today? It's the Sunday before Thanksgiving, maybe the 25th, November 25th. And I have got to put the boat away for the winter. So I'm going through some of the practices that I like to do. I figured I'd kind of walk you through it. So today it's going to be a high of about 38. Tonight we've got rain switching to snow, and then pretty much for the 2-week forecast from here on out, we don't even break freezing. So not a doubt in my mind we will be freezing up here in terms of the lake. So from that standpoint, might as well put the boat away so I don't have to do it in sub-freezing temperatures. Not a whole lot that I actually do to get it prepped, but I figured I would kind of show you some of the things I do in case you guys might be experiencing similar situations and are just concerned about storing your boat for a long period of time. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to use some sort of gas stabilizer. This is just the Stable fuel stabilizer. Just really simple process of putting a little bit of this in with the gas. So, you know, this calls for 1 ounce per every 2.5 gallons. I've got a 6-gallon tank here that's probably close to full, not all the way filled. I generally don't personally like to store the boat with a full tank of gas. I know there's different discussions upon this. My theory on this, and I don't know that this is even right, but when guys ask me this, I generally don't like to store my boat with a ton of gas in it. So if I can get down to the point where I've got a gallon left in my 6-gallon tank in this boat, I'm happy with that. And the reason for that, my logic on that, is, you know, I'll go ahead and I'll put some gas stabilizer in the gas that's left. And then when spring comes, before I take the boat out, I'll go fill it up with new gas. I would rather store the boat with less gas and then put a bunch of fresh gas in when I go to use the boat than storing the boat with 6 gallons of gas, which may potentially go bad, you know, over my storage life. So for me, it's the end of November, but I'll probably store this boat for January. So December, January, February, March, April. Probably won't get it out into May. So we're looking at like 6 months worth of storage. Now I will, if I can, get it out in March or April and just start it up and just kind of put a little time on it just to get it running. I like to run the motors as much as I can, but realistically, I'm not going to be using this boat for 5 or 6 months. So I do think using the stabilizer is really important. I also think that's why I like to put fresh gas in versus having to use up a full tank of gas that I filled right before I went to store it. I know other people say you want to fill it up before storage because that can prevent like water loss and condensation and things like that. I'm really not sure on this, guys. I'm not saying it's the right thing. This is how I go ahead and do it. So that's the first thing I do. The other thing I do, now I don't have my Skeeter boat in yet, my tournament boat. I'm not nearly as worried about that boat though, because I'll be taking that boat down south end of January. So from a storage, I'll be using that, you know, at least every month during the winter. So I'm not nearly as concerned with that. I don't do much at all with that boat. But with respect to this one, there's our rooster crowing. With respect to this one, I'll go ahead and also sometimes, now depending on the situation, some people disconnect the batteries. I used to disconnect the batteries, bring them inside. I'd store them in my basement. I'd charge them every once in a while. In this case, because my garage is insulated and I do keep it heated once in a while on really, really cold days, I leave the batteries in the boat. But I'm generally charging my batteries once every week or 2 weeks. So I'll come plug them in, make sure the charge is full and ready to go. With respect to my electronics, I do not store my electronics in the boat, in the cold garage. I disconnect them, bring them in the house. I also make sure that all of my connections are good. There's no water in them. I don't want any rusting or any icing to occur during the winter months. So I make sure that I clean out all of the connections. And I have the units, the head units themselves inside. Another thing I like to do is I'll go over the trailer and boat. I'll make sure there's no potential salt on them. In this case, we haven't had any salt on the roads. I'll get it stored and put away before the roads do start salting. But if you have used them after the roads got salted, you really want to make sure you've washed the boat off and trailer off completely from any road salt, because that road salt can do a lot of damage. It can really corrode a lot of your connections, and just, it's not anything you want to have on your boat if you can get away with it. So I'll definitely make sure I clean the whole boat off, the trailer off. Another thing I like to do is check my tire pressure, make sure the tires are stored or fully inflated. Over the winter period, they generally can deflate a little bit. You lose a little bit of the pressure. So I like to make sure that I've got them fully inflated, and that's for a couple of reasons, because there is times during the winter months where I want to move my boat around in the garage, and if they're less inflated, or they lose some pressure during the winter months, it can be a little bit harder to move around. So I want to make sure that I've got them fully inflated, and something I don't have to mess with during the winter months. And then other than that, you know, I'm going over, you know, like I said, any of my compartments. I'm taking out pretty much anything that doesn't need to be in the boat. I like to take out the tackle that I've got in here. I do have some spare line, things like that. All of that comes in the house. I don't want that, you know, potentially freezing and thawing in the garage, because the garage will definitely hit temperatures that are below zero over the course of the winter. And, you know, I just want to make sure my boat is completely dried out. Like, I don't like having any water, don't like having anything like that. The other thing I'll do is I'll also add a bunch of dryer sheets in the compartments to make sure that, well, to help, I should say, deter any mice activity. Generally speaking, I've got really good control over mice in the garage, but having lived out here in the country, we definitely still get some mice in the garage once in a while, and the last thing I want is them trying to get into the garage. So not only do I have traps set throughout the garage, I also just put some things in the boat to try to deter any sort of mouse activity, which has worked great over the last several years. Although, a fun tip for you, I found out this year the mice population is significantly higher than it has been in the past, especially up north here, because last year's winter was so mild that the population didn't suffer any sort of die-off. So they're actually saying the mouse population this year is about twice as much as it has been in the past. And I can assure you, I have been trapping them left and right in the garage. As they come in, there's two little holes I got to seal up, but they come in those holes. I got 3 traps set, and I've been getting them pretty good. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna head over to the boat ramp. I'm gonna put the fuel stabilizer in, let the boat run probably for 5 to 10 minutes, just to make sure that I'm running the stabilized gas through the entire system in the engine. And I'm gonna put it in, but here's a little tip. I'm not putting the whole boat in. I'm just putting the motor in enough so I can get water through the engine. I could also use earmuffs, you know, where you can connect your house hose, your garden hose up to the engine. I'm not doing that in this case because I've already put my hose away. So I just don't want to get that out. It's easier for me to go down the road, dump the back end of the boat in, but I'm not even taking it off the trailer, leaving it all hooked up. I'll barely even get the bunks of the trailer, a little bit of the bunks of the trailer wet. And I'm gonna get that done, get this put away. It's a sad day, but the new boat, the new Skeeter FXR 20 is coming this week. So I got to get this done so that I can transfer thought process over from this boat, fishing in it, over to the new Skeeter, so I can start rigging that, getting that ready for next year's tournament circuits. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate all the support, and stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow for you.